Hello and welcome to today's episode of Platinum Talks Wealth. Emmy Nominated journalist Jennifer Rogers Markwell changed gears in her television career when she realized the need to help women make sense of investing. She regularly hosts educational workshops to empower women and others to take charge of their financial future. Now, join your host, Platinum Wealth Management President Jennifer Rogers Markwell, as she leads us into the world of money memories, money infidelities, and how these can mold our relationship with our personal finances as adults. Let's dive into today's episode.
Hi, it's Jennifer Rogers Markwell, and you're joining us on the Platinum Talks Wealth podcast. Today, we're joined by Kenny. Kenny, thank you so much for spending some time with us. Please tell us more about who you are and why you do what you do.
So Jennifer, thank you for having me on. I appreciate the opportunity. Like I said, my name is Kenny Ingersoll. I am a podcast host, and I do that because I've gone through those hard times myself and learning that, and I love helping others get through the same struggles and being able to overcome those challenges that are often faced by so many people.
Yeah, if you don't mind sharing a little bit more about that. We like to talk about, money memories, and sounds like that's kind of a tie-in to some of your personal experiences as well.
So a lot of memories, a lot of things I grew up with learning, hearing about things that you don't want. I grew up with the terminology of I can't afford it, or that's too expensive. And I knew that that wasn't always the case. I knew there was more because I've seen other people have those things, so it helped know what I don't want to drive me to figure out what I did want. And some of those memories are still with me to remind me to continue to improve myself so that I can not only serve myself and my family, but others as well, to make that shift from going from what they don't want to getting what they do want.
Was there a pivotal moment for you that's kind of that aha moment for that money memory that you think back on that kind of made you are who you are today?
So when I was first really introduced and grasped the financial money mindset concept, it was like, holy cow kind of thing, and then I dug into that, and it was like eating your favorite ice cream. You don't want to stop, and so I remember that was being a big moment of where was this 30 years ago for me. I wish I'd have known that 30 years ago. So I tried to help others to avoid some of that. I wish I'd have known then what I know now.
And when it comes to kind of the money mindset that you're talking about, for folks that maybe don't know what exactly you mean by that, can you go into a little bit more of a descriptive definition?
Yeah. So when you think of money, what is your first thought? Like if I were to say, let's use that dresser behind you, for example, it costs $10,000. What's your first reaction? You're like, oh, or you're like, okay, let's roll, and that, what is your reaction? What is your relationship to money? What is your mind set at? What is like the set point of your mind when it comes to money? How you spend money, how you save money. How do you look at cost versus value with something that you're looking to purchase? Along those lines, there's several subcategories in money mindset, and those are some high-level key topics within that topic.
And you mentioned also that you podcast as well, and I'm sure this probably comes up as you're talking to folks in your podcast about, just financial education and kind of sharing that money mindset. Do you feel that that's been helpful for folks too, to kind of have those aha moments along with you as you're chatting with them?
Oh yeah, absolutely. And sharing their own aha moments, it even teaches me some different concepts or just slight different angles to look at things. And it also gives the audience more of, okay, it's not just Carrie saying this, this person also has similar experiences. So it validates, if you will, more. And then not only for my audience, but for me as well, as like, okay, I'm on the right track. I'm helping, I'm giving value, and it's been awesome.
Very cool. Well, when we talk about money memories for us, we also talk about money infidelities, and that can mean a ton of different things to different people, right? I mean, that can be a big, scary word, or that can be something that maybe you're not being impeccable to yourself about your own budget, or whatever that looks like. What are a money infidelity or money infidelities that you are open to sharing?
So yeah, one of them come down to being honest with where you're truly at. Are you trying to, or as I dub it, are you honest or are you Instagram honest? You're trying to get the perfect pose or buy the expensive shoes or the car payments that you can't afford, kind of thing, or that are in your budget. I use my own term, I guess, can't afford. But that's not in your budget, but you're doing it to try and get the likes or be cool or be popular with whoever. Or a lot of retail therapy. That's a big one. That was a big one for me, is when I felt depressed and stuff and looking at my budget and it's not where I wanted to be. So I'd go shopping and spend money and be happy for an hour, but then come back and I feel even worse. So, couple examples right there of money infidelity and not really sticking to or being honest with what your budget is or your goals are.
You bring up a really interesting point with actually the Instagram famous, right? Like, are people doing things because it's something that they are enjoying, or is it for the likes, right? Is it for the interaction there? Like, what is the psychology behind that? That's fascinating to me.
Yeah. A lot of people, if they do it because that's what they desire, that's one of their goals, then, more power to them, then go for it. But if they're doing it for the like and they think they need the, what's the phrase? External approval, outside approval, and like you said, the likes and the shares and the comments, they're not satisfied, or they don't qualify their own approval as good enough. They have to go outside to get somebody else's approval to make them feel good about themselves.
It's definitely, I feel like, the new generation of like keeping up with the Joneses, right? Like that whole concept of like, oh, my neighbor has X, I want X, Y, and Z, right? It's a totally different new wave, I think, way of looking at that.
Yeah, absolutely. And going back to the money mindset and where you are, do you look at it and you think, oh no, I'm not going to be as popular? Or do you look at, okay, the neighbor has this, so I know it's possible. What did they do to get that? And how can I take proper steps to go get that? And then that's a whole different ballpark. You can still get it and still have your likes and stuff, but you follow the proper steps and have it in the proper way, and you're not in debt and you're struggling and wondering how you're going to pay the bills.
Yeah. I think that goes into kind of one question that we always like to ask within people's households. Everybody does things a little bit differently, and everybody kind of saves money, and whatever that looks like, whether that's, somebody shopping, secondhand, whether that's going to a grocery store on a specific day. What does that look like for you in your household? How do you, save money, or what's ways that you kind of, cut corners where you can?
So it's kind of funny, but for my household, I'm rarely allowed to go to Costco.
That's a dangerous place to go. It is.
So we have conversations quite a bit, about money, and my wife and I do have about money, or what we're like, the groceries we want, or I want to buy this kind of thing. And so we put in the budgets. We try to avoid we can't avoid it, or we can't afford it. But let's work it into the budget. Let's figure things out, make sure we're taking the proper steps and not just, throwing everything off whack. Especially if you like bigger purchases, if new car or trip or whatever, So we have the constant communication, and then my wife is the budget person of the house, because she's a lot better with numbers than I am. It's more natural for her, so I let her run with it. I just let her know the things I want, and we work it in there in the proper order and figure it out, and and it works already.
I like your sharing going into Costco with the plan, right? Like, I feel like with Costco, it is a dangerous place to go into because clearly who doesn't need, 2 years worth of toilet paper or whatever, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Well, thank you so much for spending some time with us. I do appreciate it.
No, thank you for having me on.
Of course. And thank you all for listening and spending some time with us. And we hope you'll join us again on the next Platinum Talks Wealth podcast.
If you enjoyed today's podcast, Platinum Talks Wealth, please subscribe and share. For more information about Jennifer Rogers Markwell or Platinum Wealth Management, please visit www.platinumwealth.net. Securities and advisory services offered through LPL Financial, a registered investment advisor, member of FINRA and SIPC. The opinions voiced in this podcast are for general information only and are not intended to provide specific advice or recommendations for any individual. To determine which strategies or investments may be suitable for you, consult the appropriate qualified professional prior to making a decision. The guest speakers and their companies are not affiliated with or endorsed by LPL Financial or Platinum Wealth Management.